Welcome to Predicting the NFL Playoffs. Our first matchup we have is number 2 Ravens versus the number 7 Chargers. The Ravens will beat the Chargers because with the new addition of Jim Harbaugh coming back from his college stint with the Wolverines, I don't think that he'll be strong enough to win the playoffs. Also with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, they'll just be unstoppable in the playoffs.
Next, we have seed 3 Bills versus seed 6 Colts. The Bills will lose to the Colts because Anthony Richardson, who is now a second-year quarterback coming back from his season-ending injury, we think that he will be stronger and better than he was before the injury. What about you?
I mean, yeah, the Bills will be an offensive weapon, even though they just lost Stephon Diggs to a trade to the Texans, which I think they only got draft picks, which for Diggs is not good. But I just think they'll just have that strong offense just to push forward, but the Colts are just going to beat them in the long run. Yeah. Next, we got the number 4 Jaguars versus the number 5 Bengals. The Jaguars are beating the Bengals because Joe Burrow is coming back from a season-ending injury, and we don't think that he's fully prepared. For the Jaguars' defensive line, including people like Josh Allen, who had 43 tackles last season, which in, 18 games, that's a pretty good amount of tackles.
Next, we have seed 2 Lions versus seed 7 Rams. The Lions will want revenge from last season when they lost in the NFC Championship game. But on the other side of the table, the Rams will want to beat the Lions from last year, including Matthew Stafford, who had 268 passing in the divisional game, which wasn't even his best.
Next, we have the number 3 49ers versus the number 6 Bucks. The 49ers will beat the Bucks, which will set up a rematch from the last season's NFC Championship game with the Lions and 49ers, which has a very shocking game, and we're just excited to see that because seeing that matchup early this year, I think could prove big differences pushing on to the championship and Super Bowl.
Next, we have the seed 4 Saints versus the seed 5 Vikings. The Vikings and Saints are going to be an amazing matchup because the Vikings receiving core and the Saints defense, it's going to be hard to catch up to Jefferson in the long run. But at the start of the game, we think Jefferson will have a hard time as well.
We're now moving on to the divisional round, starting with the number 1 Eagles versus the number 5 Vikings. The Eagles will come out victorious because Jalen Hurts, head of all quarterbacks, will have an outstanding game, along with the receiving core, and the Vikings as a whole will just crumble, I think.
Next, we have number 2 Lions versus number 3 49ers. The Lions and the 49ers will be the most watched game of this postseason on the Super Bowl with the NFC rematch from last year, but the Lions will come out victorious this time around.
Next, we have the number 1 Chiefs versus the number 6 Colts. We think the Chiefs will come out victorious because the Colts have a good and strong offense and defense, but with Richardson not having a lot of playing time last year because of injury, it'll just be hard for them to, I think, push past Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones. They're just amazing defensive line.
Next, we have number 2 Ravens versus number 4 Jaguars. The Jaguars will be divisional champions because they have a strong offense attack, just like the Ravens, but I suspect they will have some injuries that makes them leave early this year.
Now moving on to the championship round, starting with the number 1 Eagles versus the number 2 Lions. The Lions will go to the Super Bowl this year for the first time ever in their history. They will come out with a vengeance that will be unbearable for the Eagles. Next, we have the number 1 Chiefs versus the number 4 Jaguars. The Jaguars will win because of their amazing defense, including stars like Josh Allen, who will just dominate the Chiefs receiving core, I think. Welcome back to the Super Bowl. The Lions will win the Lombardi Trophy because of Jared Goff, who's just going to have a major offensive attack, and Jahmyr Gibbs is just going to have an awesome game. On the other hand, Jaguars, Josh Allen's not going to have a great game. He's only going to have, I think, probably not even a tackle because their line's offense is just so strong.